Welcome back. We hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. We've got a fantastic episode for you this week, but I'm not going to go into any detail on what you're about to see. I just want to remind everyone that the work that you see being done on our show is all being done by high school students. One other thing we'd like to share with you is while the students were blowing apart the interior on the 48, they actually found the original license plate from New Jersey. So we know that the vehicle started its life in New Jersey. We have evidence that it spent some time in North Carolina before it found its way to Virginia. And we'll share some of that information with you in upcoming episodes. So we hope you enjoy it. Oh, got an email the other day from a viewer who just happened to be the second highest bidder on our Jeep build. He said he's a fan of our work, and we appreciate that. He also asked if we were doing another Jeep build for SEMA this year. So that everyone knows, we are not doing a build for SEMA this year. We had the option to, but chose not to. The students wanted to do their own build, which is where the 48 comes in. But as I said in previous episodes, we have a big announcement coming up after the first of the year, so please stay tuned for that.
In order to make the frame more perfect, we filled all the factory spot welds to finish off the frame smooth. The finish is much like prepping to paint a car. Every inch is block sanded, then primed again. A guide coat is applied. This helps us see the low spots and lets us know when it's all smooth and level. Then it's blocked again. There are a few spots that need attention. Then it's primed again. You'll see why we chose to do it this way much later as we near completion. We're removing the engine from this truck to reseal it. It runs fine, but is leaking oil from every gasket and seal.
Pulling the front wheels off of a vehicle this tall allows us to lower it enough to make it easier to access the engine and remove it.
Are they lined up?
I'm good. I'm back in there.
Rocket. I think it came out. Oh yeah. Just, you know. Come my way. Yep. Slowly. Up. Hold on. So you just take the distributor, right?
This Ranger was donated to us last May. The previous owner said that it had a coolant leak and a parasitic drain, something that would kill the battery as it sat overnight. Let's see how the students make out with the diagnostics and what was needed to make the repairs.
First, we installed a coolant pressure tester to the radiator. Then we apply compressed air that would be specified for the system. During the test, the lower radiator hose was found leaking. The cause was a bad hose clamp. We replaced the clamp, retested, and the leak was fixed. The battery drain test showed nearly half an amp draw on the electrical system. We pull fuses one at a time until we find the source of the draw. After pulling the radio fuse, the current draw dropped significantly.
We purchased a radio from LKQ and installed it.
So with our new radio put in, you can see that we're putting out much less than we were before. We're at 10 or 11 thousandths of an amp, where before we were at about 6/10 of an amp, which is way too much. So it looks like by installing our radio, it looks like we've taken care of our battery drain problem. Now that the two mechanical issues are resolved on our Ranger, we're going to focus on the quarter panel here and do a little fiberglass repair.
The first step is to remove the inner wheel well to gain access to the backside of the damaged area.
We need to cut grooves where the panels overlap to relieve stress on the quarter.
Then we grind the backside before laying on fiberglass. Because of the size of the hole, we are duct taping the outside to help form the repair. Shortening the bristles of the brush will allow us to better apply the glass and remove air bubbles from the repair.
So we have a radiator that a customer brought in, came from a motorhome. Wasn't sure where it was leaking, but asked us to check it out. So what we've done is we have the radiator here and we've capped off the upper and lower radiator tubes so that we can pressurize it with our coolant pressure tester. And then we'll be able to determine where it's leaking from and then hopefully get it repaired for them. The radiator hose end caps hadn't been used in a while and were dry rotted enough that air was leaking past them. One of my students, Dylan Stockslager, had the idea to use pieces of inner tube and steel plates to block them off. It worked well and we were able to find the leak.
We had to pull some of the cooling fins away from the leaking tube to make the repair.
So now we found the leak, we're going to clean it with muriatic acid. Give the solder, so that solder is able to stick. And you see how that cleans it up really nicely. Gets rid of all the paint and debris off of it. Alright, so now that we have that pretty clean, we'll take our plumber's gas with our acid core solder and try to fill our hole. Get it warm first. And we're going beyond the hole just in case it's got a few other weak spots that we don't know about. Test it again. Alright, so now that we've got the repair made, we're going to put pressure back on it and see if it's fixed. So we're going to do this again. We found a couple of little spots, probably from the heating process, but we're going to, that tube may be a little weak, so we're going to add some solder to the top of that. There we go.
After the repair, we pressurize the radiator again to see if it holds pressure.
Next time on Bulldog Builds, we'll have the 48 Chevy engine pulled apart. We'll see how far along we are on the quarter panel for the Ranger, and we'll have the Chevy engine pulled apart and back together. See you next week.